Good evening, Yugal. We will wait for a couple of minutes for others to join.
Okay, sir.
If you would like to discuss something before others join, please feel free to welcome. Sorry, please feel free to do so.
Sir, can you provide the link for the previous lecture
Okay, yeah, I will do that.
in offline for me to
Mm,
uh,
ye- yeah, I will share the YouTube link.
attend the class at actual time?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, good evening to both of you. I guess we should start our session now. So, welcome everyone to week 2 of this live session for the course Scheduling Techniques in Projects. The course instructor is Professor J. Maheswari. I am Venugopal Mahajan, a research fellow at IIT Delhi. So, I hope you all have gone through week two's content and already submitted your assignments. We will be covering some content similar to that only. These assignments obviously cover a major part of your final exams if you are planning to give. So do try to solve these assignments seriously. And if you have any doubt, please feel free to reach out via discussion forum. And this is an interactive session, so it would be better if we can discuss many things as we go. It would also make this session more helpful for you guys, and obviously I can also think of some new points in these topics. Is my screen visible to all of you, and am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Do let me know if this changes. Moving to the slides now. Week 2, we covered 3 topics: precedence diagramming method, line of balance, and resource driven scheduling. Coming to the first question related to precedence diagramming method, first of all, uh, you guys, what is the difference between CPM and precedence diagramming? Is there some difference or is it the same? See, this is quite interactive, so you will have to reply. Okay, so I will repeat my question. Uh, is PDM same as CPM, the one which we were doing last week?
Because PDM is easy for the repetition of activities.
PDM for repetition. I guess for repetition we were doing LOB. Okay, anything else that comes to your mind? Okay, in PDM you saw that. Just give me a moment. Yeah, in CPM you dealt with one relationship only, right?
That is finished to start, right?
Yeah, finish of A to start of B. But as soon as you went to PDM, you got more types.
We got all types, and also we had a facility for entering the lag amount.
Yeah. So, what kind of relationships we got? Finish to start was already there. Then we
Then
got
start to start,
start to start,
finish to finish, and start to finish.
finish to finish, and start to finish. So, these four relationships, is there any confusion? Like, I mean, have you seen all these kinds of relationship in the projects or in your real life? Finish to start, it's quite initiative, right? That
That is more intuitive, yeah. But start to finish, I have never seen, sir. At least I don't think of any example.
okay, start to finish, we need an example for this, right?
Yeah.
And what about others? I mean, other type of relationships. Finish to start, it's like we have been doing it since our childhood. I mean, everyone is telling us to do that. Finish one task first and then start the next, right? So finish to start is like that. What about start to start and finish to finish?
Start in my IT work, when we decompose a project into components, we start a design of one component and another component simultaneously. So that's almost start to start. Both of them will be finished to start with respect to requirement specification. Okay. So,
Okay. So let me try to visualize what you have just discussed. Let's say we have design 1 and design 2,
exactly.
and they can go in parallel.
Yeah, D1 and D2 can go in parallel, but both are finished to start with, let's say, requirement R1. Okay.
Okay. So there is R1 which
So D1,
drives these
D1.
two,
Exactly.
and then there is some solution that we are arriving at. So that is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but this kind of the start to start relationship that we were looking for, or finish to finish, it is missing here also, right?
No, but I said D1 and D2 are start to start. That means, see,
Yeah.
D1 and D2 has to start simultaneously. Okay. Uh,
See, okay, what happens is that when we write that D1, D2, that means
yeah.
that D2 can only start after D1 is started.
Correct.
Correct. So
Correct.
there has to be some kind of a in design also, that once we start design of first component, before the design completes, just if we have started it, we can start on the second component also.
Yes. So typically, what we do is about 10 to 15% of the work we wait, then we start D2. Okay, because some core architecture baseline is done in D1, then that will enable us to start D2. So
Okay.
typically, I'm talking with respect to a lag of, let's say, 10% of the work of D1.
Okay. So this 10% to 20% becomes buffer here, right?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah. So you can also represent it like this, that D1, let's say your 15% is here, D2. This also gives the same presentation, or we can have D1 with the time duration. If you're talking about, let's say it takes only 2 days to reach this stage, D2. So this is an example with the design kind of situation. Let me give you an example of construction or performing some tasks. I'll just talk in basic terms. Let's suppose that you have to decorate a room. So decorate a room, you have to do paint. You have to paint the walls, and you have to place the furniture. Two tasks. Now, if you want to start this, if you have just painted one wall, or if the painting has started, even if one corner is done, you can start placing the furniture at that corner, right? I mean, once the painting is started, you can start placing the furniture also. Similarly, once painting is completed, you can start. You can end the furniture placing of the furniture also. Is this example quite what we were looking for? In case of start.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. So as we saw in case of D1 and D2 also, that if we have got D1, D2, we have got start to start relationship also and finish to finish relationships also. This thing you will see quite often in practice, that when one of these appear, the other one appears as a pair. It is not necessary, but it happens. So coming to one point here, start to finish relationships. So how start to finish relationships look like? We'll see that part once. That let's suppose there are two activities, activity A and activity B. So activity B can finish only when activity A starts. Is this point clear to you?
Can I say in another way, sir? As soon as A starts, B will be finished, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Activity B can only finish when A starts or as sir has said, that as soon as A finishes, A starts, B can finish. So any example, anything that you guys can think of where this kind of scenario happens? One activity can only finish when other starts. Okay, let me write one keyword here. I mean, that is the most common example when it comes to start to finish. Handover. Let's suppose your activity B is hoisting some equipment with the hoisting formwork with the crane to 4th level, and shuttering has to start on the 4th level. So placing the shuttering is activity A and hoisting the shuttering is activity B. Now only when the team at 4th level is ready to take this formwork, I mean handle this formwork, then and only then the hoisting activity will complete, right? Are you getting an idea?
Yes. Yeah.
So whenever there is a handover kind of a situation, you will see this relationship quite often. That
Okay.
yeah. I would repeat it once again. Let's suppose that activity B is hoisting the formwork, or let's change it to transporting the machinery from place Q to R. Now at R, work can only start when the machinery is there, but you need work to start or some guys there so that they can unload the machinery or place it in the right position, so that your activity B, the delivery of machinery, gets over and working from that machinery starts. So I hope you get an idea of this situation. Any other example can you guys think of now with the term handover? Okay. Let's suppose you are doing some temporary works. Now, temporary works. Let's take an example of you are building your house, and work is also going there. So initially you are using generator to power other supplies. Okay, generator is there, and you want to remove the generator. So dismantling the generator is one activity, and also you want to connect the house to the power supply, I mean the transmission lines. So connecting to transmission lines is another activity, or getting supply from transmission line is another activity. Now you can only finish dismantling your generator once you start getting supply from transmission line, right? So this is again kind of a handover in different terms.
Yeah, correct, sir.
Okay. So with these things clear, we will move on to the question. Let me duplicate the slide so that okay. So coming to the question part, we have got two activities. Activity A of 18 and activity B of 25. There are 5 relations given here, and we have to determine calculate the times. Is anything missing in this question? We have been given the relationships. There are only 2 activities. We have been given the
nothing,
buffer.
Nothing is missing. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we will move to solving it. A18, B25, and the first is finish to finish relationship with 14. So let's try to calculate the time. Let's start with 0. I mean, we have been doing it since last session. Now this, let's suppose it takes 18 days complete duration. So now there are 4 points here in activity B also, but we are calculating only early start right now, early start, early finish. What value should come at this point?
You are talking about early finish or?
Okay. Good question. We'll take it step by step. The only reason for doing this in detail is that when we get bigger networks, we don't have to delve on these things. Now, you have already calculated for activity A. For now, what value can you calculate?
We can only calculate based on the relationship which is here FF, right?
Yeah.
That means I know that A will finish earliest by 18.
Yeah.
So if you have to be true to the relationship, then B must finish at the 18 plus 14th day, 32nd day.
Okay, 18 plus 14 is 32. So then B must finish on 32, right?
Yeah.
So we can calculate this, and similarly, if B has to complete on 32, when can it start?
7th day.
7th. See here, now the point comes, even if it starts on 0 and it takes 25 days, and there is some buffer, it can finish on 32, right? If it starts 7 days late also. This
right.
Early start can be 0. The only point here is that we took it as continuous activity, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So the point missing in this question was we were not given that if it was continuous activity or interruptible activity execution. Okay, so here we can calculate, we can see that earliest, if we take it as continuous, b can start on 7, and if it is interruptible, obviously it can start on 0 anytime, right?
So, yeah, each one we can calculate separately, right? Start and finish. That's interruptible.
Yeah. So now let's calculate it for other relationships also.
Default assumption is continuous, right? Unless it's stated.
Yeah, default is continuous. So what will be the values in second case? If it's 0, it can start on 22, and similarly it can finish on 47, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's
Sir, where have you taken this 22, sir? The second one is SS plus 10, right?
oh yeah,
No, it's okay. But I just wanted to got confused.
no, actually I don't know where I copied this 22 from. It should be 10 only.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for finding out. 35. So similarly,
Sir, in this case, even if it is interruptible, you will still start at 10, right? It doesn't, because of the dependency, right? It's
Yeah.
start to start.
yeah,
It won't affect the value, correct?
I mean we are not getting any other relationship to start here, right? I need to calculate this value.
Yeah.
Okay, coming to the third part, A18, B25, and this is FS minus 7.
That means we are talking about the lead actually.
Yeah. So this value can be 11 now, and 11 plus 25 gives 36.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This question was taken from a construction project management book by Professor K.N. Jha. And I forgot to write the source here. A again 18, B 25. Now this is the case of start to finish relationship. What will be the value in this case? 0. This can be 18. Okay, when should B start? We are talking about case 4.
So then we should be 732, right? B.
Yeah, I mean that means that we have to end at 32 and contiguous activities of 7. Yeah,
7.
correct. Similarly, let's finish it up for last one also, that is FS relationship. So can you guys try these questions if it was interruptible activity? Will any of these values change or remain the same? We saw that in first case it is changing.
Yeah. Second case it was not, sir.
Yeah, second case it is not changing.
Finish to start relationship also, I don't think it will change, right?
Finish to start relationship. This 7 can again be 0, right? No, sorry. Finish to start. Yeah, it won't change. Only one relationship is there.
Because you are already quantifying the start, right?
Yeah.
But if you take the fourth one, SF plus 32, I think that for interruptible can be different.
Yeah.
Because the B can start on 0 also, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yes. You will see that in cases where you have activities coming in the mid of your network, which seemingly only have end-to-end relationship with, or finish-to-finish relationships with their predecessors. In that case, their start can be taken as 0 if it is interruptible activities. Okay. So we have seen these cases, we have solved these questions. we will move on to a bigger network now, similar to what you guys see in your assignments. So this is a 6 activities are given, their relationships and duration is given. So we will first write by non-interruptible activity execution, and we'll take those activities to be contiguous. So what should be the first step now? I mean, we have been given the activities and relationships, but quite tough to visualize. So we will start by making the network, right? So you guys can hear me, right? We have got activity A with finish start. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can, sir. Loud and clear. No issues.
Thank you.
Sir, you will become tired only if I keep speaking. I hope others participate as well.
So I hope you heard what sir said. So we both are looking for equal participation from you guys, or else the session will go very fast. I guess this is what my network looks like. No, this relationship is wrong. Yeah. So
Sir, A to C, start to start. Okay. Oh yeah, you put it.
yeah. Four, two, two, 1, 2. Is this how the network looks like? You guys have to verify now. I mean, yeah, I think it is the same. 2, 5, 4,
Yeah.
2, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, again having a cheat code here. So help me write the
See.
values. Okay, 2, 5, 4, 2, 2, 1, 2. Let's see if I can remember this time. So this is how we have got. Now we will start some calculations part. So the calculation would be similar to what we have discussed in CPM. We will be having a forward pass,
And backward pass. Yeah.
backward pass. Then we'll be looking for critical path. So maybe before that, if required, we will check for float also, and then complete for remaining part.
Okay.
So starting forward pass, the first activity from the network, it looks like it is A. Forward pass, continuous activities, right? Non-interruptible. So this becomes 0.
Yeah, 0, 6.
0 plus 5, this becomes 5. Similarly, if we come to this point, this becomes 0 plus 6, 6.
6 plus 2, 8.
6 plus 2, 8. This only one relationship is at this point, so 8 plus 4 becomes 12. Now coming to bottom part first, 5 plus 5, 10. Now here you have got 2 arrows incoming. It can be 12 plus 4, 16. from this side, or 10
10
plus
plus
2
2.
is equal to 12. So what value will we take?
16 will take.
16, right? The bigger one.
Yeah.
Okay, 16 we have. And then for the start of activity D, it is continuous, so we will just
So,
be
exactly. So it's
putting 8 here. Yeah. Yeah. So this will become 16 plus 2,
18,
18.
24. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, 24. 18 plus 6. 18 plus 1, this will become 19. 19 plus 4 from one side, and 24 plus 2
Plus
from the
2.
other side. So what
Yeah.
value will it be?
So we will take 22 and 26.
Okay.
Start 22 and
So this will become 26. And
yeah.
similarly, from as it is continuous, we can come backwards. So it can be 26 minus 4 also for this point. So we'll be taking 22 here.
Yeah.
So
So, sir, just
yeah,
in other words, in this continuous scenario, it always the early start and see always the early finish will be early start plus duration, right?
yeah,
So there will never be a situation where early finish minus early start or late finish minus late start is not equal to the duration or greater than. That will come only in interruptible, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we will again go back to timeline and try to visualize what happened. I
ठीक
mean, if
ठीक
there was some float in one case and there is no float in other case, so it might have vanished, na? I mean,
correct, possible, yeah.
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 So where did it go? We will try to look into that also.
Okay. But in this case, if you go back to F, please.
Yeah.
See, F we calculated 26 as the earliest finish, right? So
Yeah.
that's fine because we compared the 23 and the 26.
Yeah.
We decided in favor of 26. But start, we didn't. So start also it is 19 versus 22, right? That's idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, we have got two relationships coming here.
Yeah.
Either uh,
So each relationship you calculate ES and EF and take the latest value, right?
yeah. So for this 22, we have got one relationship coming via this, and we have got one coming backwards from 26.
Right, sir.
So
Yeah, got
what
it.
we have taken is
Yeah.
22.
No, my worry was, will there be a situation where we take 19 as the earliest to start and 26 as the earliest to finish?
And it no, not in this case,
Not in this. Okay.
but it will be there. I mean,
It
just
will.
when we solve this example again, we will see that
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
happening.
sir. I don't want to confuse. I just wanted to get this down. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now going towards backward path, we have got 26 here, and as we have not been given the deadline or anything, like, let's suppose if we had to finish this project by 30 days, then 30 would have been our latest finish for the whole project, and we would have gone backwards from 30. But as we have not been given any value, be it 30 or 22 or anything, so we will take whatever we have calculated earlier. So 26 becomes the value here. Now let's see how it happens. 26 minus 4, again 22. In this case, from 26, this becomes 26 minus 2, 24. For this, 18. Right? Either it can be 18 minus 1, no, 22 minus 1, 21, or we can come from this side.
Correct.
Similarly, when we go to this point, 18 minus 2, 16. Backwards only one arrow is there. 16. 16 minus 8, 8. One arrow only. Now coming to these 2 points, 16 minus 2. 16 minus 2, so this becomes 14.
14 and 9.
Yeah, one arrow, so 9. 14
Let's
minus
do B before we come to A.
Okay, so going back here, now 16 minus 4, this becomes 12.
8.
12 minus 4, 8. 8 minus 2, 6,
Yes.
and
So
6 minus 0 becomes either it can be 0 or it can be 9 minus 5, 4. So taking the lower value, and from this side also 0.
yes, and we are taking.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, 0 we got in the first one. We don't have to even check the other one, right?
Can you please repeat?
No. No. Because from B when we come to A,
Yeah.
we already got 0 as a latest start. Because we already got 0, I thought we don't have to examine the relationship from C to A, right? Because that's the lowest value.
Yeah. Okay, sir, I will. What happens is that when we try to do these calculations, these calculations mainly got in vogue because they can be performed by a computer. I mean, the kind of calculations we are seeing, it follows a logic behind everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why we try to check every time,
No,
because
that's understood. But I
no,
just asking because it's 0. Does it mean that we can never get a value, right? Or is it possible we get a value which is lower than that?
uh, actually, if you have made some mistake anywhere in the network, you can get it less than 0 also.
Okay. Maybe that is a good way to cross check also.
Yeah, it happened actually once we were solving, and we didn't. While solving the example, we switched from contiguous to interruptible.
Acha.
Huh, mid problem. So
Okay.
that way, that 0 become -1.
Minus. Okay.
Okay, so we have done forward pass, we have done backward pass. Now coming to float, as it is continuous activities, if you go and check, you will find that we will be only calculating total float in these cases, and that quite easily is early start, late finish, duration. So late finish minus early start minus duration, that will give you the value here. So that
Yes.
brings us to 6 minus 0 minus 6, 0. 12 minus 8 minus 4, again 0. 14 minus 5 minus 5. So
4.
4, 4 here. In this case again 0. 24 minus 18
0.
minus 6, 0. And 0. So if you see here that we are getting only one activity that seems to be not critical, right? Activity C with some free flow. So when you try this on your own or on a real project, please do remember that don't have total float only as a single criteria for determining your critical path. You will see its use. I mean, if you remember this line, we'll see what happens in the next case.
Acha. Okay.
So, is this good enough for everyone? I mean, we have done continuous activity execution. Now, coming to interruptible, we'll be solving the same question. So that there is some link. Uh, 25 what? I hope I have written the buffers correctly. Now we will move on to the similar calculations. 0 as it starts. Okay, let me write forward pass, backward pass, then we will have floats and critical path. So forward pass, the value here, only one relationship is coming, so 0 plus 6, this becomes 6.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, so 6 plus 2, 8.
8 and 12.
8 plus 4, 12. Now
Let's
this
do
value
C.
becomes 12 plus 4, 16.
No. Let's do C. Actually, sir.
Okay, so we will keep 16 outside and we'll follow this. 0 plus 5,
5 and 10.
5. 5 plus 5, this becomes 10. So 10 plus 2, this becomes 12. So 12 and 16, the lesser value is 12.
The
So what will we
the
take?
we'll take 16, the higher
16,
value.
higher value, right. So 16 here.
8.
Now what about this part? What value should come here?
That has to be an 8 because there is no other dependency, right? Which defines the start of D.
Yeah, I mean there is no other dependency here. That's correct.
So we subtract the duration and to get that, right? No, I don't know.
16 minus 8 is equal to 8, right?
Yeah,
But
that's what I think.
yeah, I mean absolutely this network shows us the same logic.
Yeah.
But if you see here, we can have an activity here, project start now, or and an activity here, project finish. So whichever activity doesn't have a predecessor at the start, we can link it, right, to project
Yeah,
start.
we can. Yeah.
So similarly, and whichever activity doesn't have a finishing of a successor, we can have PF as its successor, right?
Possible. Yeah.
So in that way, this governs, like here we can have the value 0.
If you come that way, that means there is no other dependency, right? Only the project start.
Yeah.
That means as soon as A starts, in a way you are saying B can start. In other words, yeah. Okay.
No, I am not saying that. I am
No,
not saying that as soon as A starts, D can start. I am saying that as soon as the project starts, A and D
Okay.
both can start.
Yeah. Okay. At least that's what I was trying to imply. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. No, sir, sir, I got the exact idea. I just wanted to put that
very-
in the correct word because
No, you are right. We have to be very correct in saying this. Yeah, I know. Even though mathematically the answer will be the same, that's not the right way to interpret in English.
yeah. Okay, interpretation. Maybe we should look into that part also. We would see to it. Please remind me after when this example ends for interpretation of the buffers.
Sure.
Okay. So here the value comes to 0. Now moving on. 16 plus 2, 18. No other relationship this side also.
So, sir, for D,
Yeah.
that means we have to assume there is a project start and it's put it as 0, is it?
Yeah.
Or in this example, because I'm talking about this example only.
No, not in. I won't say that you take this for this example only or assume this, but like if you think logically, we have got only finish to finish relationships for this activity.
Correct.
That means we are not worried about when that starts.
When that starts, technically correct. Okay.
So whenever that starts, we just want it to finish with other activities.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and if we are talking about the earliest start, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is forward pass. So, earliest value we can have is 0.
Yeah, correct, sir. So we'll always keep this in mind. Then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, similarly, this coming to early finish of E, it's 24. Now, these parts, it can be 18 plus 1, 19. And okay, this I put 19, 24 plus 2, 26. So, but if we go from this direction, this can be 19 plus 4, 23 also.
Yeah.
Right. So, is there some locha here? I mean, the activity is only of 4 days, but it is starting at 20th day and ending at 26. I mean, this shows the duration as 7. Right?
Yeah, but that's because we are trying to fulfill both the conditions, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. This happens because this is an interruptible activity execution. Like from 19 to 26.
What you are saying is 19 to 26, 2 days. Actually, there will not be any activity in F, right? In
Yeah.
a way. Okay.
So we have got this. Again, the values are same, but it might happen in interruptible activities that the project duration also changes. So what do you think? If the project duration is changing, should it increase or decrease? Okay, this I will let you to find out when you solve more questions. Now, doing the backward pass, we already have the value 26 here. So starting with that, 26. This becomes 26 minus 4, 22.
22. Yeah.
Now coming backwards to this, 26 minus 2, 24.
24 and 18. If you come that way.
Okay, this can be 24 minus 6, 18, and
Or
this can be 20.
2 minus 1, 21.
Yeah, 22 minus 1, 21. So what shall this be?
We'll take the minimum value, right?
Yeah,
18.
I mean, if we start it at 21, there is no way we can finish it
No
at
way
24,
we can
right?
finish it. Yeah.
So 18, only one backward relationship, 18 minus 2, 16.
16
Now what
minus-
happens here?
What happens here?
What happens at this point, start of activity D?
But if see 16, the interpretation is latest to finish, right?
Yeah.
So if you have to finish by 16th day, you must, okay, unless if it is a continuous activity, you must start at 8.
No, anyway, it is the latest start, right?
Latest start. So I think it's, yeah, you are right. Yeah.
I mean, if we start any later than 8, we cannot finish by 16, right?
We cannot finish, yeah. Yeah.
So only one relationship here, 16 minus 8, 8.
8.
Similarly, let's try to complete rest of the stuff. 16 minus 2, 14. This only one backward relationship, 9. In this case, it would be 12, 8, 6, 0. Right? So this is quite what we get. Now let's start to write the floats. Now here you can calculate all the 3 float values. Right? Float.
So what are the 3 total floats? Start and finish, right? Finish floats?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this can be quite clear in the activity D. Let me make the if you see the total float for activity D would be 16 minus 0 minus 8, 8. And similarly, the start float would be 8 minus 0,
0, 8.
8.
Yeah.
But finish would be 16 minus 0.
Minus
16
16
minus 16
0.
is equal to 0. Now, what is this signifying? We have got 3 values. So you can see that the total float is 8. You can shift your activity 8 days anyway. If the early start is 0 and late finish is late finish is 16, you can shift your activity around by 8 days, but you cannot compromise with your finish of activity D,
Right.
because it is dependent on other 2 activities. It is carrying your relationship forward, finish start relationship again. But as we discussed earlier, you can play with the start. That
Right.
From 0 to 8 you can start anywhere. So you have got 8 here.
Right.
Similarly, let's calculate the values for each activity now.
That is 0, 0, 0 for A.
Yeah.
For B, the total float is 12 minus 8 minus 4, that's 0. Start and finish as well. For C, 14 minus 5, 9 minus 5, 4 is a total float. And okay. Yeah, both start and all are 4. So, how do we interpret C, sir? Very nice. It has got both the start float of 4 and end float of 4. How do you speak in English? How do you interpret?
Okay. So we will go to time. We'll try to plot it for activity C. 5, 10, somewhere here is 9, and we have got 14 here, and the activity duration is 4 days. So anyway, if you want to move it, like you can move the start date by 4 days, and it won't affect your duration, I mean complete project, right?
Yeah.
And similarly, if you move its end date also by 4 days, it won't affect your duration.
Affect your duration.
Yeah, and the total float is also 4. So what this shows you is that the total scope or the total float to play with is 4 days only.
Either you use it at the start or finish, right? That's
Yeah,
what it says.
I
Okay.
mean you can use part by part also, like you use part of it at the start, part of it at the
Yeah,
end, because this is
correct.
interruptible.
So the total is limited to 4 only. You have to distribute the way you want.
Yeah. Okay, so this is again 0. Now please look at the F activity.
Yeah, the start float is 3.
Yeah. So what this shows you is that you can, and this value is 3, right?
Yeah.
So you can play with the start of the activity, but you cannot disturb its finish. Otherwise, the project will get delayed.
Correct.
So now we have calculated the floats also. Let's try to look at the critical path.
Sir, do we have to calculate the relationship float as well or no?
Yeah, relationship float.
Is it required now for calculating the critical path? No.
Let's see if our answer changes.
Take it.
That can be done, right? Okay. Now relationship float. This is a very good point, but with activity we understand, right? That okay, we can delay the start, we can play with the end, or we can have buffer in the mid also.
Right. Yeah.
So what is this relationship float? I mean, it is something, it is coming somewhere. So what is this relationship float? Any idea? I mean, we have discussed. Let me write it here. Relationship float. Okay. In the previous relationships, you saw a buffer, or you can say duration attached to the relationships, right?
Yes. You mean in terms of lags or lead, right?
Yeah. I mean, I will write lag, lead. So what does this actually mean? I mean, you saw that, okay, we can have lag by a few days, we can have lead by a few days. But let's try to imagine it in the real context. We will go back to the example that sir started with, D1, D2. That D1 can start, D2 can start after 15% of completion, right? Let's say that D1's duration is, how much can we take? 20 would be
Take 30
enough.
days. Maybe 30 or 30 days.
Okay.
Or no, it's okay. 20 is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So with 20, so 15% of 20 becomes 3.
3
So
days. Yeah.
that means that your lead or lag, what should be the term here?
Lag.
Okay, so lag is 3 here. So you understood, right? That for completing 15% of the D1, we have got 3 days now.
Yeah.
This is kind of binding to it.
Yes.
Now it can be anything, like here we attached it to completion of D1, or let's suppose that there is reinforcement placement for for concreting and concreting, and between them we have a buffer of 2 days administrative works, like we have to inspection for our for enforcement and all, right?
Yeah.
If we are not adding any other activity to show these admin values, these inspection and all, we will be putting it in as relationship buffers, right? Lead lag, so that
Yeah.
anyway we calculate it, though we miss the meaning. And you will find out that in most of the cases your activities are completed within their duration. I mean, only uh, 95% of the activities are finished within the estimated duration. This duration, the relationship time we have assumed now, it varies. You can see it in site also, that oh, concreting finished in 10 days that we promised. Shuttering also finished within 2 weeks or so. But what happened is the site inspector didn't come, or the material didn't arrive for concreting. There was some issue in some paperwork roaming around, or the design changed at the last moment. So
Yeah.
all this is increasing your relationship lag, and
Yes, correct.
this is what is disturbing your whole schedule. So that way you can see that you also need to calculate the relationship floats, and the formula for relationship float, you must have seen it in the PPTs. I will go by the easier way. So what? Yeah. You were saying something?
No, not me, sir.
Oh no. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. So for relationship float, it's simple as the latest point of head minus earliest point of start minus the lead lag what we have here. So this becomes 9 minus 0 minus 5, 4.
Yeah.
Similarly, 8 minus 6 minus 2, 0.
Yeah.
And in this case also, as this looks
B
critical, I
to
would
D is start to finish. So latest to finish, which is 16 minus
16
where is
minus
to
12
start,
minus
right?
4, 0.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, in this case it would be uh, 16 minus 10 minus 2, that gives us value of 2. And similarly in this case it looks to me, I will bring it up. So 18 minus 16 minus 2, again 0. In this case 22 minus 18 minus 1, so this gives us 3, right?
Uh,
And in this case 26 minus 24 minus 2, 0.
0. Correct.
So what you see here is that, look at this value, this 4 and this 4. So
Yeah.
this kind of makes that if you are using all the buffer available for this relationship only,
Yeah.
you won't be able to use it here for activity C.
Yeah, because the total float of C is 4, right? You have already exhausted.
Yeah. So this kind of makes us think that okay, we cannot be dependent on total float only. Like looking at the total float, we can see that okay, activity A, B, E, and only these three activities are critical. Or looking at the zeros, we can see okay, which edges are critical, but the complete picture misses somehow.
Yeah.
So
So we cannot interpret this total float in isolation, right? That's what you are coming to say. We
yeah,
can't.
I mean, we cannot make sure that, oh, if total float is 0, it is critical, or if total float is not 0, it is not going to be critical.
Yes.
and
Correct.
and you will find that it happens that while looking at the activities in real time, we see that, oh, the total float is 0, this is critical. But what activities makes us gives us more pain is where the total float is very limited, like 1 day, 2 day, because very easily those activities get delayed,
Delayed.
and those 1 day,
Absolutely.
2 day buffer get exhausted.
Yeah.
So now we will look at the critical path. We'll start
So,
by, yeah,
sir, just one interesting point based on what you told. I
yeah,
think it's right to assume that, let's say at the time of the project start, we draw this diagram and determine the critical path. Let's say after about 10% of the work is over, we have to relook and see what has been exhausted, and we may find that the critical path has changed. Right? It is possible, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have done it differently, if we have used some buffers, or
Exactly. Some
yeah,
we have used or not used, depending on that, the whole path might change actually.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we have got. I mean, we update the schedules on regular interval for that. So we'll start with critical path. We'll start from project start, the start of activity A. Now activity A whole is critical, right? I mean, all three values from activity A to activity B, uh, B to activity D. But you
B to
see,
D,
but you see that the only finish of activity D is critical, not whole
yeah,
activity,
not
right? You can't mess
yes,
up this point.
yeah. D to E is finished to start. No confusion because there is only one.
Yeah, and E is
But
completely
but
critical.
E to F is only finished part, right?
Yeah, finish part is critical so that you don't mess up with the total duration. So that kind of sums up our first portion, PDM. Any specific question to this part?
I will keep quiet, sir.
So you really make this lecture worth giving.
Sir,
It is
I
important.
have to ask something.
Yeah, definitely, sir.
Sir, what about that activity where we get only finish as a constraint? That means earliest finished and late finished are the same. But that is not the case in case of that activity. That earliest finished may be 0, but latest start must be 8 minimum, 8 days. So
Yeah,
that is activity D.
yeah.
So how the critical path will be in this case? Will not be it extend from A to finish that F?
Uh, yeah, actually, the critical path has to follow some lines. I mean, if we see path, okay, it has to go through some connecting points. What happens is that when we talk about interruptible activities, we are actually looking at three parts in one activity: the start of the activity, the end of the activity, and its execution. So what happens in case of D is that we have some leeway in starting the activity D, but we have to finish it on time so that the project doesn't get affected. So that way, the path will flow from activity A to activity B to end of activity D to again to activity E, start of activity E, its execution, and end of activity E to the end of activity F. So you can see the flow is complete here.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope this clears the.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That means only regarding this activity D and activity F, we must stick up to the finish of activity, but not more concerned with the start. But we have certain allowance to start that activity.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, sir, one more question about E.
Yes.
There are two relationship between E activity E and F.
Yeah.
That is the finish to finish and start to start. Sir, what exactly meaning of this showing both relationship in case of this activity?
Uh, okay, so initially at the starting we were discussing that the examples of start to start and finish to finish relationships. So we saw that if we are starting some activity such that it affects the start of another activity, we usually have the same constraint at the finish also. It can be there or it cannot be there, but in generally most of the cases you will see that the both constraint exist at the same time. So to show that it can happen, I have used both start to start and finish to finish. It can be that in solving you are finding only one, or on site you are finding only one relationship. And here also you can see that for one relationship the relationship float is 0, and for one it is 3. So the one with relationship float 0 becomes critical.
Yes, yes. Okay, sir. Okay, okay. Understood, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So moving on to our next topic. Just one last call if anybody has any question related to PDM. Okay, moving on to the next one. Now, following table gives activities required to complete one set of prefab construction. If 10 such sets are required, answer the following questions. Buffer between each activity is 2 days. Now, this buffer can be for anything like passing information, inspection, or drawing, anything. So the questions are, when does the first set complete, and when does all the 10 sets complete, and when does the crew for activity D arrive on the location. Now once we make the LOB table, all these answers are quite visible. So my question, why LOB? I mean, we have got we were used to making one set, and now we have to make 10 such sets. Why line of balance?
If you want to know when does, let's say, the second or a third one starts, ends, another thing, how will you do it?
um, okay, so let's make the network diagram for this first, and let's see if it also looks the same as discussed. Mm, right. If I think this is how our network diagram looks, right? So yeah, the relationships are same, durations and buffer I have not written. Now if we can do it for one, why not for the second? Like, let's suppose if this was our case, I will find out the durations also. 7, 2, 4, 10, 5, and buffer of 2 everywhere. So this makes the complete project duration as 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus, I mean, right? Or did I miss something?
No.
Okay. So this makes that, okay, for one set we can complete in 32 days. Now, for all 10 sets, how much time will it take? I mean, this has been like, we have played this riddles in our childhood also. If one person can, if one person can, whatever, I mean, blow 3 balloons in 2 minutes, then 3 persons can blow 9 balloons in how much time?
Correct, 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, you would be saying 2 minutes.
Then
So similarly, if we can do these activities for one set in 32 days, what is stopping us for completing it in the same time for each? Like for 10 sets, either we can say that if we have got 10 machines, I mean 10 teams, so we can do it in 32 days, right? 10
Yeah.
teams working in
If,
parallel. So 32 days again. If we have only one team doing everything, so you will say it would be 32 into 10. So, I mean, if this was so simple, why line of balance? So, kind of,
uh,
yeah,
if it is one team, you can't say 32 into 10 because, see, once a person, let's say, that completes A, no, that the resources will be free, right? See,
yeah,
you are assuming that they will complete everything till such time the person who has done A, B, C will be waiting for the other people to complete D and E. That may need not be the case, right?
yeah. So, what you put in words is that you have unique team for each activity.
Ha, correct.
If it
Correct.
was
It
that,
calls for separate skills, possibly. Possibly.
yeah. So what you exactly talked is like you said, na separate skills. Like if a person is doing job A, he won't be employed in job B or C or D or E. Again, he will go on to job B for next set, job A for next set, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of brings us to some assumption that we have got right now what we are going to use it, that we have got one unique team for each activity.
Yeah.
So now we will start by making the table that we saw in the lectures. IP and duration. I will be just. I hope some of you are trying this with me.
Yeah. We'll start filling it up at least.
Yeah. Duration as well. N is equal to 10, so n minus 1 becomes 9 here. So just for this, we will be multiplying by duration is equal to 9 into duration for each activity. So completing this part, I mean, okay,
Yeah.
we will move on to this later. Now, the question here is what type of buffer should we use? This is,
Yeah.
yeah. So
For
anybody
A,
would,
there is no buffer, right? Because that's the start of the activity.
yeah.
You assuming the units are ready, the people are ready to do that. We assume they can start. No
Okay.
buffer.
So that way A doesn't have any buffer. What about B? Should it be N type buffer or star type buffer? We saw these
Look,
two types only, right?
we have to compare the duration. See, B's duration is 2 units, right?
Yeah.
That means B will finish. If it's, I mean, it's less than that of A. So you can't have a start buffer. You have to have an end buffer. I thought.
Okay. Does anybody have any confusion in this part? Again, I am writing end. So C, we won't be comparing it with B, but C we will be comparing it with IPA, that is A. So 7 and 4, again N type buffer. For D, 10 and C, because C is on the critical path we saw. So that becomes start type buffer. And for E, it becomes N type buffer. Right?
Yes.
So now calculating this time, it will just help us in filling the uh, table ahead. 60.
Sir,
Yeah.
Kavita has written a message saying she doesn't understand start and end buffer. Maybe I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait,
Thank you.
wait,
Thank
wait.
you very much for pointing out. Everyone, please feel free to uh, discuss to use your mics, because as I'm using this in presentation mode, the messages slip. Okay. Uh, when to use a start type buffer, when to use end type buffer, that is the question. And in class we learned one comparing technique, that if we have got if we have got IPA with greater duration, we'll be using n type buffer, and if we have got IPA with the smaller duration, we'll be using start type buffer. But okay, that convention is good enough, but let's try to visualize it. Okay, so we have got activity A that can be done in 10 days. Then we have got buffer of 2 days, and then activity B which can be done in 5 days. And let's suppose we have to do 5 such units. I'll start by making a graph kind of thing, where this is the timeline. Zero, let this be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and on this line we will show the activities. Wait, I should rotate this. Instead of having time, we will go by the same convention that we have been using in LOB diagrams. This time
units, right? Units.
Yeah, this we will see units. I mean, this will make it very easy to visualize. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and similarly for the time, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and let's say 60 here. So we are starting activity A at 0, and we are finishing it at first unit at 10, right? I mean, this you all can agree. If this is showing activity A, we can start at 0 and we can finish the activity at 10 days, right?
Yeah.
I'm removing the buffer for now. We'll come back to it. So now second unit of activity A can start at 10 days. Wait, if I remove it, you might say we are missing something. So no, I won't remove it. Okay, is this clear till now? I mean, we haven't done anything else. We just drew the graph for units on y-axis, time on x-axis, and we'll be drawing the activities when they are done. So now coming to other activity, activity B. When can activity B start? Yeah, I want the answer from you guys. I mean, when can activity B start? Please use your mics. Okay, activity B can start 2 days after the completion of activity A, right? So 2 days after the completion of activity A, B can start here at somewhere around 12, and B will take 5 days to finish. So somewhere around here at 17, first unit of B will finish. Now this is quite clear. I mean, we haven't used any logic, any buffer. We just used this. B follows A with 2 days of buffer. Now for second unit of A, you will see that it is going from 10 to 20 days. But for B, now you have to start where?
22.
22. Why? Because when A finishes, plus 2 days of buffer, and then you start, and it goes till 27. So similarly, if you keep on drawing, it happens. for each. So what is the problem? I mean, there must be some problem, right? I mean, we are changing it. So what is happening is that each time you have to employ one crew for B, then you have to release that crew again, then you have to employ it. Can you see it? I mean, you employed B crew B here, then you released it here, then again you employed it here.
Correct.
So if you want the crews to work continuously, what you can do is, if uh, if we had if we had maintained this logic here, I mean linearly, if we came this side, we would have, the slope is same, so duration here is same. I mean slope is same, so duration here is same. So as you can see that if we went without adjusting for n-type buffer, the logic of LOB falls. But if we maintain that, okay, we have to take n-type buffer here in the n minus 1 for A, for B. I mean, we didn't adjust in, where did we adjust? We adjusted at the start of nth unit. If we adjust here, it will follow everywhere. So similarly, if the slope would have been more, in case of, let's say there is an activity C with duration 20 days, then its slope would have been quite
Flatter, yeah.
Yeah. So similarly, we can work here with start type buffer only. I hope you get an idea now that how it matters. Is there some doubt again? Any doubt in this case now of start type and end type buffer? If not, then we will move to solving this question. Coming back to our table, n-1 unit, we saw why n-1, because we are focused on start of nth unit. So just writing these values. Now schedule start date for unit 1. Let's go back to this network. We see that our critical path moves from A to C to D to E. B is not critical. So for further calculations, I'll be ignoring B for a while. For A, we can start, first unit can start on day 0. When can nth unit start? We saw from here that nth unit can start on n-1 into duration of activity A. So similarly, this can start on 0 plus 63 is equal to 63. Ignoring B for now. Coming to C, when can C start? We know that it is n-type buffer. So if nth unit of A start on 63 plus 2 for the buffer, that is when the nth unit of C can start. Right? Any question here?
What do we have to add the duration of A there? No.
You tell me. Can what we considered here was just start
No.
of activity A and
See, nth unit of A starts on 63, nth unit of A ends on 70, right?
yeah.
I would rather we start from 70. No? Okay. Yeah.
We will go back to the graph. Like we'll talk in terms of activity B. When can last unit of activity B start? When n-1 D we are coming here plus D plus buffer is when we can start. So same thing, like 63 plus I'll write in the same order. 63 plus 7 plus 2, we got 72. Now when can we if this is nth unit, we have to complete n minus 1 units before that. So when can we start?
72 minus 36.
36, right?
Yeah.
For
So basically
Yeah.
we are saying we will bring in the people who are capable of doing that activity, see, on the 36th day, in order to avoid the underutilization, right, earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
Correct. Okay.
So for activity D, it would be start of activity C plus you have to complete it once, right? 4 plus the buffer, right?
Yeah, 42.
42
Plus
plus 90
132.
132. For activity E, it would be 132 plus completing it once, so 10 plus 2, this will be 144. And similarly, this will be 144 minus 45 is equal to 99. Now, when does the project end? If we are starting activity E last unit at 144, so it will be 144
44 plus the
5.
duration of E, which is 5.
149.
140.
Now, is this point clear to everybody? Like, we got the value of 149 here. Any confusion here? Anybody? Okay, so if this is not a confusion, we will come to the missing part. What happens to activity B? Now, as you can see that B is not critical. So anyway, if you take it in terms of A, or if you take it in terms of D, when it is supposed to end, it should work fine. So by convention, we'll just go with A. So first unit of A starts from 0 plus it takes 7 days to finish first unit plus 2 days of buffer. So 9.
9.
Similarly,
9 plus 18, 27.
9 plus 18 is equal to 27. Now, if this is quite clear, you can draw the graphs for these also. Starting here, ending these plus duration. And you will get for how long the crew is on site, or when the crew is coming on site. All these types of questions that trace with this pattern, they will be quite clear. I hope this is clear to everyone now.
Yeah.
What happens in LOB?
So we don't have to worry about the non-critical activities, right? Because they don't have any impact on the overall project duration.
Yeah. Sir, the same rule applies everywhere.
As you mean.
You cannot, you don't have to worry till you make sure that it doesn't affect your critical path. It doesn't changes your critical path.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Till then, you are free to do anything.
Yes.
Like in this case also.
Yeah.
If we had gone with N type of buffer, we could have gone, but only if it is not changing the start time for D.
Yeah.
If it is changing that, obviously we cannot accept that.
Yeah.
So with this, coming to our next portion that was covered in lecture 6, resource driven scheduling. Now the key term here is resource driven. What do you mean by resource, and what is resource driven? Anybody who would like to contribute something here? What is a resource and what is resource driven? So if not, then we will start moving on with the question. The table here mentions activity IPA, man days, and crews available. So what do you mean by man days? Whatever till now we were seeing is we were talking in terms of duration. Now a new term came. What is this? Anybody would like to elaborate?
Man days refers to the actual effort. Okay, it's a multiplication of the number of people on the calendar days.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Actual effort. Like you need to complete these 48 units of days to complete activity A. Now, for these 48 units, it depends on how many manpower you have at that time, or how many labor are you occupying, so that you can find out the duration. Like if you have to complete 48 units of work, if you have only 4 persons doing it, you will say, oh, it will take 12 days. If you have 8 persons, you will say it will take 6 days. Now the question comes is, what determines 8 4? You will say, oh, whatever crew or whatever labor was available with me, that decides the number. It might be so that, let's suppose that uh, if you have to make a brick wall such that one mason requires one labor, or for calculation purposes, let's increase it to each mason requires 2 labors. So that makes that if you have a set of 3 complete, then and only then you can move forward. If you have 2 masons and only 2 labors, again you will say, oh, there are 2 labors less or one mason extra. So this kind of situation do arise on site, and at that time we actually break it down into different components. But in this case, we will be going ideally. So in this case, we have 2 sets already given. Like either you can have a team of 8 workers for activity A, or a team of 12 workers. So that actually brings the duration for each for each set you can calculate the duration. Like if you have set 1 with 8 workers, you can complete activity A in 6 days. But if you have set 2 of 12 workers, you can complete it in 4 days. Right? Is this point quite clear of sets and man days? If so, we'll move on with this. Now coming to what is the minimum duration to complete this, and what is the labor requirement. Coming to minimum duration, so let's find out the minimum duration for each. Like in this case, for each set I am just finding the duration of activity. Is this correct? The duration calculation?
Yes.
Okay. So coming to the question, what is the minimum duration? We know that for minimum duration, our best thing to move on is with any networking, any network method. It can be CPM, PVM. But looking at the simplicity, we will be going on with activity on node network.
So they are seeing in this, no, somebody connected and no, they are referring also.
So,
Sir, the activity E is in under set 1 12 days. 12 into 7, right? 84, not 14.
where?
Activity.
Like one another,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
So if one lady spoke, she suggested a party.
Okay. Yeah,
Another.
well, thank you. So we have got activity A, activity B, and when both these activities
Another silly question, because C and D have got the same predecessors, A and B. Do we have to create a dummy between A, B, and C, D, or we can just draw the way you have done it?
Sir, Mike, okay, I mean, I will counter this with a question. You said dummy, right? So is
Yeah.
dummy an event or an activity? Dummy is activity, right? Dummy activity.
Dummy is an activity, correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
dummy activity. So in this case, when we are drawing activity on node network, we don't need to draw dummies.
Correct. Only when it is arrow one. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, let's do the same thing with arrows. You will see that as soon as uh,
So what is your
now
graduation?
when should be uh, even here all here itself we will have dummy,
Yeah, correct. Whichever, yeah.
Oh,
correct?
Yes,
2019
yes.
you're saying,
That's what I
right?
meant. Yeah.
Similarly E
So, not
F,
2019, okay. This is long
right?
distance or
Three
Yeah.
additional
long
dummies,
distance?
three additional thing to
Okay. So
think
we
about,
can like,
and then this dotted line it kind of doesn't give the psychological
what is it
feel of
called?
something happening.
Correct.
Cost blending, is it?
I think
So yeah,
that's why the world has moved to AON, right, today?
uh, yeah. Actually, word moves wherever you move. I mean, if you feel more comfortable with AON, we will follow you
Because
there.
most of the project software I worked with, it produces both AOA and AON diagram as an output.
Yeah, actually, the shift
So this is for how long?
for
2 years?
others also. I mean, out of country,
These are been 2
uh,
years anyway, it
in
is.
first generation where they have adopted everything quite
Mm,
faster
okay.
than us. They also took like
Right. So, see the
almost
salary
around
I want to
90s.
tell you
They
because
came to activity on node network, preferring this.
Okay.
Yeah, it has taken quite a long time.
Mm.
So yeah, we will, and we being Indians, we are adaptable
this
to
is very
everything.
good
We are
company.
tolerant of
Good
everything, so we will
to,
use both.
no? And
Yeah.
it is work
It
from
makes sense. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So coming to the part of determining the duration. Now, as you can see that for minimum duration, we can start using set 2 here. I mean, for set 2, we can see that each activity has lesser duration than set 1.
Correct.
you are in the temple or something and
So,
then
so coming to this part, now let's start calculating 4, 5. This is going to be quite hodgepodge because we have done this many times. So just help me check whether the final value is correct or not. 5 plus 3 plus 7, I'll be going with this 15 days, right? 15 days becomes the minimum duration. Now the question is, what is the labor requirement? You say that we already know
let
which
us say
set
when
we are
they
going to
start doing
apply,
something, why then you are getting that output.
so we can determine the labor. This is a calendar I brought, again a cheat code for me. So I'll start filling our labor requirements here. Activity A starts on when? Let me have a look, another look here. Do I have a highlighter? If I have a highlighter, it would be easier. Yeah. So activity A has this scope. Activity B has this scope. We'll see what this scope I'm talking about is. And E and F, E can go till 7. What actually I have plotted is the start and earliest start and latest finish of each activity that you can calculate as we have been doing it since the beginning for CPM. And I will start writing the values. For activity A, in these 5 days, you have to have 4 days of activity with uh, 12 laborers each day. So it can be this also, it can be this also. I will go with front end loading. So that will make 12, 12 this. For B also, C again 12. D 8 for 3 days. Now E, I have to have 12 for 7 days. And F, I have 20 for 2 days. Right. I hope everybody followed till here. So let's calculate daily labor requirement. I mean, if you are doing these activities on each day and you need to find out how many laborers will be coming to that site, or you need to call. So for daily labor requirement, we'll just add vertically 24. But in this case, activity A has already been completed. So it comes to 12, 20, 20, 20, 32, 32, 12, 12, 12, 12. What is the problem here? I mean, this is quite clear to you, no? If you have to finish it up fast in 15 days,
Yeah.
15 days, we will need the labor distribution will be like this, and maximum laborers each per day would be 32. It might be possible that you don't even have space for 32 laborers on your site on for one day.
Correct.
Yeah, site might be congested. So in this case, if you just see here in activity F, you can either do it in 2 days or 5 days with 8 laborers or 20 laborers. And here in this case, you actually have a buffer of 7 days. 9 to 15, you can adjust your activity F anyway. So
Yeah.
so even if I'm using 8, then also my man days remain same, but
Yes.
my labor requirement changes. It becomes 20, 20. So you get a more uniform labor requirement. So why are we focusing on the uniformity of labor requirement? Why are we doing resource leveling? That becomes a question. Like as sir talked in LOB also, it might happen that we have got people who can work on almost every activity. Like if we are talking about laborers, we can move them around with mason also, or welder crew also. If they are just picking up and placing, we can use the crew around. So it's better to have them leveled. I mean, you don't have varying labor requirement. It might also happen that when you are getting laborers on site, you have got a labor contractor who has a limit that I can supply only these number of laborers. Or you might have the condition that your site is quite remote, so you are taking 100 laborers there for a whole week. You have placed them there, so you don't want to waste your effort that way. Like the labor is on site and you don't have work for them, or you need more laborers than you can accommodate. So it's better to use leveling, resource leveling for that case. I mean, these are the most basic, most generic cases. Any other case that you would like to highlight from your experience?
The see, there is actually a hidden cost of uneven resources, right?
Yeah.
That generally that is not accounted for in the project management. For example, when you go from 32 to 20, and then again, so either we talk of retraining or reskilling cost, or the cost of hiring and bringing the person so that he is very productive from the day one. These are all hidden cost, and the more you level, I think all these costs get minimized, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. I mean, this was quite a uh, quite a practical point. So we saw how we can do that, how we can adjust, and in this case, we are not using any momentum-based methods that we can calculate what shift exactly we need to make. Now coming to the so we determined the minimum duration for the project and labor requirement for it for each day. The second part, you might be asked to calculate the duration if labor on site is limited to 20 only. In this case, from the first front end loading only, we can see that if we adjust somehow for activity A and B, if we can reduce this 24 to 20, we can find our answer. So if we see here, if we anyway adjust it, like these sets 8 and 12, 10 and 12, so if we take 8 for activity A and 12 for activity B, we can do it in the limited, I mean the limiting condition.
Yes.
But obviously it is going to increase your duration. I mean, initially you were able to finish activity A in 4 days and activity B in 5 days. So 5 was your limiting value. I mean, 5 was there in your critical path. Now, if you complete activity B in 5 days and activity A in 6 days, so your critical path will also change and your duration will also increase to 16 days. I hope this is
Yes.
clear.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, the limit uh, of labor actually increased your day. Now, similarly, uh, you can be asked to calculate about this in exams. Mm, and on site also, according to your requirement, you can adjust it. What will happen is that you might not even know exactly the crew sets available. You have to assume it. There are many practical challenges, but this is one tool that you can use for resource driven scheduling. Like, because of the resource, your schedule actually varies. We saw this with an example. Now, the third part, calculating the charges. Uh, let's assume that the third question is directly linked to the first part only. Labor charges are 500 per day, material charges are 1,50,000, and establishment charges are 800. So what is the total project cost? I guess so. Uh, with labor, we can just sum this up, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that you will see is that you don't actually need to sum that for each and every condition. If you total this and this daily labor requirement sum would be same. Obviously, this is the straight
Exactly.
logic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from this, let's total these values. 18, 6, 14, 14, and 4, that becomes 22,
292.
292. Thank you. So for this total cost, it becomes 292 into 500 plus um, material cost of 1,50,000 plus 15 into 800, right? 800 was our establishment charge. So that I will have to total it also. 292 into 500 plus 15 into 800 plus 1 lakh. So this brings the cost to 3,08,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what might happen is that if your resources are varied and you start adding the cost of training, retraining them, bringing them to site, changing them again and again. So that might actually increase your establishment cost, the hidden cost as Sir talked about. So your project cost will increase. This kind of brings us to the end of this session. Any specific doubt regarding to what we have discussed or any point you would like to add?
Sir, this covers week 2, right?
Yeah,
Sort of.
week 2.
Okay. Okay. Will you be able to share these slides some way?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe in the discussion forum or wherever you can put it in use.
Yeah,
I don't.
both week slides and this recording also I will share.
Yeah, because I think I would like to go through this question again. Yeah, the answer.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, definitely, sir. I
very
will.
useful. Thank you very much indeed. Because I don't think many other courses I have seen. I think a phenomenal amount of time you are spending. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And your presence and involvement actually makes this whole exercise worthwhile for me also.
I know. Amongst all your duties, you are doing this, and people should realize actually. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next week we will be discussing metrics based methods, and that is kind of initially we like our last topic was resource driven scheduling. That would basically be information driven scheduling. So that might be quite new for all of you. And yeah, we will discuss it in detail then.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Sign off. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, any doubts you would like to discuss? Yes. Can you please turn on your mic? You can directly speak. I saw a raised hand. Oh, no issues. Please feel free to contribute. So I'll be stopping the recording here. Thank you very much.